ladies, maybe you just want to type it in. Is that the quickest? Everyone's typing in what they're doing. Underneath, I don't have a video of you, so if you want to turn on your video,
Yes, one second.
open it up.
Coaching and therapy, products, coaching and consulting, writer and expert. Sorry. You can see me now. All entrepreneurs. Love, dating, and relationships. Okay. Health empowerment. And okay, so most of everyone on the call is service-based. So this is great because my business is service-based. So everything that I teach is really focused on service-based. So this is great. So you'll love this training. So Sabine, you want to officially start?
Yes, so officially I'm handing over to you, Ungenita, to this billion Rolodex training. I met Ungenita a couple of months ago with some great discussions about what she does and what we do here at the portal. And I know that Ungenita may be quite a good addition to this as well. And you can obviously introduce what exactly you do. But that's what we decided, like, let's do this first in terms of the LinkedIn training. We know that everyone will be hugely benefiting because LinkedIn may be something that we're not always tapping into as much as we should, and just wanting to see the opportunities and how we can utilize it, not only for the portal but also generally in our businesses.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, well, welcome everyone. And I just want to say thank you, Sabine, for giving me this opportunity to share this training. And I have to say that Sabine and I did a training 90 days ago. It was about 90 days ago, 12 weeks ago, at the top of the pandemic. And we both made a decision, like, we're going to conquer this. Like, we're not going to stop. We're gonna move full steam ahead. And it's been really great to have this emerge and to really see how it's supporting women in their businesses. So those of you who do not know me, I am Ungenita Prevost. I'm an award-winning feminine leadership expert, million-dollar strategist, and global connector. I'm the founder of SellingINStilettos, FEMME 500, and billion-dollar Rolodex. But do not let the glitz and glam fool you. I was aged out of the foster care system at 18 years old. I've experienced every financial hardship you could possibly imagine: homeless, jobless, carless, cashless, and parentless. And essentially 3 skills are responsible for me being here today. Number 1 is sales. I've sold millions of dollars worth of products and services in my career, serving over 50,000 women. I've had over 10,000 sales conversations. The second one is communication and messaging. And then the third one is networking. So those are the 3 skills, and I call them survival skills. So when I talk about business, I talk about business from experience. I don't teach widgets. I don't teach tactics. I teach real core strategies that I have mastered, that I have what I call receipts. So when I train, it's very structured, but it's rooted in real business. So I often refer to Harvard Business Review, Forbes, Entrepreneur. I quote a lot of billionaires because over the years, I realized that a lot of the things that I teach align with real business experts, and therefore that's how I've become an expert. And I've seen the results from my clients. So I'm not just saying that from my own experience, but I've helped hundreds of women gain results through these strategies. So today we're going to talk about billion-dollar Rolodex, and this is my signature online event I hosted every 2 months in my Facebook group, Feminine, Rich, and Powerful. It's a 5-day event. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the petite version. It's going to run about an hour. I will open it up for a Q&A. I'd love for this to be interactive. Here's why. A lot of the things I'm going to share, they sound really simple. I'm going to challenge what a lot of gurus post, a lot of strategies that gurus, that appear in your Facebook feed. I'm going to challenge a lot of those strategies, tactics, I should say, because what I've noticed over the years, there are a lot of rich coaches with broke clients. And when we look at the numbers in terms of women's empowerment, women's leadership, we see that women are still under earning. Women haven't really mastered, this whole internet game. Social media has been around for a decade, and there's a lot of people online. But when you really peel back the curtain, you'll see that a lot of women aren't making money. They're playing internet. They're playing social media. So I just want to ask you to open your mind, like come to this training with a beginner's mind, because every time I do this training, there are women that are blown away. There are women that experience breakthroughs. There are women that are enlightened because they realize that they were missing some core strategies. And these strategies have allowed them to actually unstuck. It's really responsible from unstucking, if that's a word, women in their business. So I hope everyone has their goal pages. I'm on the phone, so if you are online, I think Sabine can actually pull that up, but you can download it at billiondollarsaleswoman.com if you don't have it, and you can pull up the gold pages. Before I start, I just want to
share them. I'm here. You want me to share them on my side?
And yes, can you? That would be great. That would be great. Perfect. Okay.
There he is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna dive right in. So go to day 1. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Actually, it would be better if you could share from your side, so
I
that
can't, because I'm actually.
Yeah, I know Speed.
Do you have it? I'm on the phone. That's why I can't.
Oh, that's why. Okay, sure. It's just I'm monitoring the other messages as well. So if I screen share, I can see the messaging.
You don't have to. You don't have to. If everyone has it, it's fine. But you don't.
Yeah, no, I think it's always visually. It's always good to have. Let me see if I can just share this. 1 sec. Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, you can see that now.
Yep, I can see
it.
Yep.
Good.
Yep, I can see it. Okay, so day 1, the highly visible woman. So going back to what I was sharing, we're online. We're told to focus on fans, followers, and likes, and those strategies essentially have failed us. So the $1 Billion Rolodex is built on 5 principles: visibility, communication, human connection, earning power, and $1 billion mindset. So that's going to be under day 1. So next page. Perfect. So that's the foundation that the Rolodex is built upon. And please forgive me for rushing. If you have any questions, please just jump in and ask your questions. I'm happy to answer your questions, but I just want to make sure that I give you the foundation here, and that way, when we dive into the part around LinkedIn, it will make more sense. So what I teach is something called the business matrix. And this is networking 101. This is where most women fail at networking, because they approach networking from a client acquisition standpoint. So when you approach networking from a client acquisition standpoint, you are essentially putting yourself out as an amateur. Here's why. Everyone has value. When you network, you want to network with a clean slate, right? No expectations. The goal is to build your Rolodex with a wide variety of people, because everyone buys at different times. Their needs change. They know other people. So you don't want to look at people and go, okay, they're not really my product. They're not going to buy my product or service. I'm not interested in connecting with them. Big mistake. So what I work with is I work with a business matrix. And the way that this works is every time you meet someone, every single time, you put them in a category. And it goes like this: friend, referral partner, joint venture / business partner, clients / customers, or men. Okay, now the reason why I highlight men is because in this women's empowerment movement, you know, me being a feminine leadership expert, a lot of people think I'm a feminist, but I'm not actually. I work with a lot of men. I do business with men. And I find that women make the mistake of not communicating with men, not showing up powerfully in business situations when they're interacting with men, and they miss out on opportunities to do business with men. So with the matrix, this will allow you to approach people with a clean slate and then develop relationships, right? And then from there, you can extract opportunities, because friends turn into clients. You know, people that you meet, especially on LinkedIn, you'll find that maybe they're not right for your product or service, but they connect with you. And it's such an easy place to gain referrals. Joint venture partners. So Sabine and I are actually joint venture partners. So she was referred by me. She was referred to me by one of my clients. And so we connected, and then we did the Monetize Your Network call 3 months ago. And then here we are. So that's a joint venture. So if I looked at her and I said, oh, well, she's not my client, then I would have missed out on this opportunity. So that's why it's really important. So does anyone have any questions about that? Because I noticed that a lot of women, they tend to miss this part. Does anyone have any questions?
So to me, it just struck me that I think we all tend to just go and look for clients when we're networking, and we wouldn't want to connect maybe with people, especially potentially on Facebook, which we think maybe they're not our potential clients. How do you deal with that?
Well, I connect with everyone, and I'm going to share a little bit later the process, but here's why. Especially on Facebook, Facebook averages, this is why I prefer LinkedIn. Facebook averages, I think it's 17 touch points before people will even, you know, give you the time of day, right? So you never know where someone's at. You never know, you know, if they are right for you today or they'll be right for you tomorrow. So you don't necessarily want to get in the habit, which I notice a lot of women do, is they get in the habit of discounting people. So you really want to approach it with an open mind, because you just never know. And when you focus on really connecting with people, you'll find that there's more opportunities that be beyond, right, the initial sort of interaction. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think that's great. Maybe you want to talk about this anyway in terms of follow-up. I think that's always the key, isn't it? Like if you connect with someone and then you just connected and you don't do anything with them, right? So that's
and that's exactly, and I will touch on that a little bit later. But what I wanted to share on from the highly visible woman is that you can only stay in touch with 150 people at a time on average. So, you know, everyone's focused on likes, fans, followers. You know, I want to be popular, and they're not profitable. They're focused on the metrics, but there's no monetization. They're focused on the fame, but there's no fortune to back that up. So think about this, 150 people. So if it's humanly possible to stay connected with 150 people, why not focus on building a solid Rolodex of people, you know, from a variety of industries, people from, you know, all walks of life, multiple, income streams, income levels, because that's going to support you, especially throughout your career. And when we are looking at our businesses, a lot of times the people that you're interacting with on social, you're not really connected to them. You're just sort of what I see women sort of playing around, and they're not really establishing real connections. And so when I work with clients, I talk about the connection target number. How many people do you really need to connect with on a monthly basis to meet your goal? So if I'm going to use this as an example, if you need 2 clients every month, you're in a service-based business and you need 2 clients every month. Well, studies show that most marketing will give you about a 10% conversion. So you would need to connect with 200 people if you need 2 clients on average. These are just averages. 200 clients, right? 200 connections, right? Where you're actually connecting with people. They are engaging with you on some level. Either they're opening up your email, they're reading your blog, they're listening to your podcast. Okay, so from 200 people, you're going to get about a 10% conversion. So then that 10% turns into 20. So now you have 20 leads. Now, if you get them on the phone or you get them into a situation where they're on the DM, you can pretty much look at your closing ratio. And if your closing ratio is, let's say, 2%, then there's your 2 clients. Now, if your closing ratio is higher than that, 25%, then it's going to be, more clients from the 20. So this is where women get very intimidated when I start talking about the numbers, because everyone wants to focus on, the big numbers, but they're not willing to do the math to really see, right, and figure out, okay, how many people do I really need to target every month? So that's a really important piece. So this is what I recommend. Your rich woman number, which is your financial goal. Look at your financial goal. And from that financial goal, get realistic. How many people do I need to connect with to get to my financial goal? Not followers, not fans, not likes, but real connections that are going to bring you paid clients. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Does it vary whether you use LinkedIn or you use sort of other platforms, Facebook or whatever? Is there a different ratio that you need of connections?
I don't think the difference is going to be the touch points. So Facebook, it averages 17 touch points. Also, Facebook is a little bit more difficult in the DM. People aren't likely to respond immediately in the DM. Whereas on LinkedIn, people respond, on average, we can actually get someone on the phone within 48 to 72 hours on LinkedIn. So there's the difference, but the averages are based on, like, I'm talking marketing, right? When you look at marketing overall, those are the averages. But when you start to do this for yourself, you're going to notice, right? You're going to notice, okay, so if I have a Facebook group and I have 500 people in a Facebook group, well, 10 of the people from the group signed up for, a training. Well, what does that tell you, right? Or 50 people sign up for the training. It's important that you start to look at the numbers so that you can figure out your numbers, because your closing ratio might be like 40%. It might be 60%. It might be 20%. But you have to reverse engineer, because it changes everything. And this is real business. You know, it's not tactics, you know, because business is really numbers, right? Because we're talking about money, and we have to align that income, that financial target, with a strategy that aligns us with the right people who are going to pay us. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it does.
Okay. I also have just an observation.
Sure.
That I believe LinkedIn is more of a business platform, and people are actually more or less there to do business with each other, whereas I think Facebook is more like a social platform where people just hang out and, you know, not necessarily do business. And I guess to really be successful without just throwing spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, particularly in Facebook, you might be having to look at doing some paid ads to get to exactly those people, and, you know, get them down a funnel where they opt into something, and then you continue conversations. Whereas, you know, I do quite extensive amount of networking on LinkedIn, and I've not had one person say, why are you messaging me about this particular, you know, offer. They just either say, no thanks, I'm not interested, or, oh, thanks for thinking about me. So I tend to have more of a business type of response rate, and people are more like expecting this sort of thing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of give everyone a reference point, LinkedIn is my #1 platform. And what happened was I built my business on Facebook. Then I went to Instagram. Then I went back to LinkedIn, and I just had better results. The Rolodex is really about you becoming a master networker, and all of the strategies that I teach within this $1 billion Rolodex concept, it's rooted in the principles that I learned on LinkedIn. Now, after I mastered these strategies on LinkedIn, I actually took them to Facebook. I took them to Instagram. The difference, and I stand by this to this day, it's much harder, again, to engage with people in the DM on Instagram, Facebook. And so for me, if you want to work both platforms, I'm fine with that. I still work both platforms, but I use these strategies and I bring them over to the other platforms, because you have to be very sophisticated in your approach. And you also have to, again, with Facebook, it's going to start in your feed, or it's going to start in a group. Whereas LinkedIn, it's going to start in the DM. So that's why now when I teach this, it works no matter what, because it's networking. And so I'm going to move on to the next page. It's highly visible woman. You can flip the page. But when I talk about your connection target number, right, you have to look at how you're showing up online, and you have to decide how you're going to spend your time. And then you want to have, you know, the best skills, the best strategies when you sit in front of the computer, so that you're not wasting your time. So, because we're doing the petite version, pay the bills with $1 billion business skills. And so it's very important that you have people skills in this networking era, because no one, including Facebook, taught us social networking. So if you want to be successful and I want to say this because I know a lot of people that spend a lot of money on Facebook advertising, and Facebook advertising works. But when you master people skills, networking skills, listening skills, I mean, you won't have to spend a lot of money on paid advertising, because you're going to get opportunities, you're going to get leads, you're going to get, I mean, you name it. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you tap into old-fashioned business. And I forgot to mention communication skills, because once again, on social media, they did not teach us how to communicate. So that's why we have this lack of etiquette online. You know, people that are shoving their products in your DM, they don't know you. They're asking you to buy. They're shoving their links, and they assume that you want their stuff. I mean, that's etiquette. And for some reason, a lot of women are missing the mark because they lack communication skills. You would not talk to a human one-on-one the way that most women are communicating in the DM. It just would never happen. But some reason, and also because of technology, the bots, the algorithms, right? The automation, it's like, we don't have to communicate. And Warren Buffett said, if you want to increase your net worth by 50%, hone your communication skills. And I know for a fact, remember, this little girl that was aged out of the foster care system, that was one of the skills I learned. That saved my life. So when I speak about this, I know that it works because I'm not using ads. So I just want to make sure that I give everyone an opportunity to chime in. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to Miss Popular versus Miss Profitable?
Just saying that everyone's loving it very much. I'm getting lots
Thank
of
you.
comments here. Okay.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I'm trying to stick to my notes because I feel like I'm doing speed networking right now. But okay, so Miss Popular versus Miss Profitable. Okay, this is my favorite. And here's why. This is my favorite because after training hundreds of women one-on-one and noticing that there are a lot of popular women online. They have tens of thousands of followers, fans, likes. I mean, they're everywhere. And it's so impressive. And when I have conversations with a lot of women, or I've had conversations over the years, I've discovered a lot of them weren't making money. They're not making money. They're just, you know, online, playing around, looking like they're popular, but they're not profitable. So I want to say this too, because this is sort of the pink elephant, and my elephant has to be pink, but I want to address this. So I'm the type of influencer that I don't do a lot of selfies. I don't do a lot of posts. I haven't posted on Instagram in 18 months. I don't even do a lot of article marketing on LinkedIn. I have a private Facebook group, but here's the deal. I do all of my business in the DM, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business in the DM. I am respected by some of the most powerful people in the world. I have a Rolodex that is truly a $1 billion Rolodex. That's why I was named the $1 billion Rolodex babe. My introductions average, the lifetime value of an introduction, meaning if I introduce you to someone in my Rolodex, the lifetime value of that introduction is $1,000 to $10,000. So this networking is serious for me. And so everything that I teach, it's based on like real numbers, like dollars and cents. Now I'm American, so I'm speaking about dollars and cents, but I am living in the UK, so I oftentimes refer to pounds. But that's why I can speak about this so confidently and with such conviction, because I have the data, I have the proof. So Miss Popular versus Miss Profitable. Here's the deal. Everyone's showing up in all the wrong places. Everyone's out there and they want to be seen, but they're not connecting with the right people, because if they were connecting with the right people, they would be making the money that they want to make. So look at your visibility strategy and take an honest look at your strategy. And you have to get real. And I don't care what the gurus said, because again, there are a lot of rich coaches with broke clients. You know, they'll sell you a bill of goods. They will, you know, give you the get rich quick scheme. you know, and there's so many women stuck right now. It should be a crime. It should be a crime. It should be a crime. There's just too many women stuck. So breaking down the visibility strategy. So visibility strategy, I want to be visible in front of the right people. I want to get in front of the right people. So visually, what does that mean? That means you're going to show up on social. You're going to show up via photos, you know, quotes, etc. But you want to get in front of the right people. Video, very important now to do video. Video is hot right now. But again, who are you going to do the videos for? Audio, podcasts, written, blogs, one-on-one. That's essentially phone conversations. Scalable events. Making sure that you get in front of large groups of people at one time, right? So you can scale. So you're speaking to 20, 30, 40, 50 to 100 people at one time. It's really important. My favorite right now is collaboration circles. So what I do is I bring women together and I connect with them. And from there, I create community, and many of those women become my clients. So now what I share with my clients, create collaboration circles. And then focus on your core platform. Instead of, you know, this, okay, I got to be everywhere. Like I said, I haven't posted on Instagram in 18 months. And I'm fine with saying that. I still do DMs on Instagram, but I'm not, this is where I'm focused on business and not ego. So it's okay that I'm not posting for me, right? Because it's business for me. It's not a popularity contest. So design your visibility schedule and get very clear about where you're showing up, how often you're showing up, and if you're if you're connecting with the right people. And if you're not, then you have to just draw the line in the sand and say, okay, this is not the strategy for me. Because again, there's just too much wasting time online. So does anyone have any questions about that? I know that there's some messages going back and forth in the chat.
So yeah, there was a message about how often do you post on LinkedIn?
Well, I don't post on LinkedIn, and that's why I have to be very transparent. My business, and I will reach the $1 million mark with a DM. It will be the DM. So when I teach LinkedIn, this is what I share with my clients. If you're going to post, you can post once a week. It's important that your articles, and I'm going to talk about messaging next, your articles are SEO'd, and your articles are solving the real world problem, right? That you're the solution for. So especially on LinkedIn, I don't think it's a good idea to, you know, like, don't take the Facebook, like, oh, I'm going to talk about, you know, what I ate, you know, for dinner last night. Like, don't take that approach. Get really focused on, okay, I am the expert and I'm going to show up powerfully, and I'm going to speak about this real world problem that I'm the solution for. That's how you position yourself on LinkedIn. But again, my strategy is more about the DM. So I don't do a lot of article marketing. I advise that if you want to post articles, you can post, but you want to make sure that your content is aligned with your message. It aligns with your expert subject matters so that people identify, right? They can identify if they need your services or not, or they can refer someone to you or not. But I'm not one to suggest just throwing out all this content, because I see a lot of content, but people aren't monetizing that content. So moving on to the networking piece, and this is really about communication and messaging. So what I advise everyone to do is to focus on their communication channels. So use the written, use the email, use the DM, use the text, use the video, use the phone. Have those strategies built in to your communication channels, because you want to communicate consistently with people. And some people are going to respond via text, some people email, if you have an email list, obviously. Lots of DMing. Written still works, one-on-one still works. Does anyone have any questions? I'm speeding. I'm trying to get through all of this.
How do you start a message? What do you say, and how do you continue the conversation?
So the vernacular of powerful women, everything is rooted in communication skills. So mastering your communication skills. So I'm going to give you the 4 tips on the communication. So the first one is to find a common denominator between you and the next person. So it doesn't matter if it's a CEO of a company or someone starting in business. You want to find a common denominator. When you find a common denominator, you want to listen and ask questions, because questions show interest, and then offer a tip or resource. So in this packet, I have the general $1 million messaging, formula in here, but I'm going to pass over that to get to the social on LinkedIn. But that's sort of the formula, just to break the ice, just to get comfortable communicating like a human. So moving on to day 3, when we go to LinkedIn, social selling, okay, it's really, I just want to make sure I don't skip. Because I have a tendency. Okay, so when you do LinkedIn and you're asking about how to start the conversation, what I do is I investigate first. So if I'm on LinkedIn and I'm in the conversation, right? I want to engage. I will investigate. So I will look at their profile. I will connect with them, leave them a message to start the engagement. And then from the engagement, meaning in the DM, I will invite them. An invite can be either send them to a link. Most of the time, I might invite them to a Zoom or invite them to check out an article, or I will invite them to a phone call. One of the things I will say about LinkedIn is that you want to make sure that you have a stellar profile with a headline that is optimized on some level, meaning, because LinkedIn is optimized in a search engine, but you want to make sure that you have some of those keywords in your headline and also your about section. Because what I focus on is I focus on designing the LinkedIn profiles so that more people will reach out to you versus you reaching out to them. And that's called lead generation. And it's a very masculine term, but when you position yourself, you will notice that you will get more leads coming in. So that's why the headline is important, the summary is important, the about section is important, and a lot of women tend to practice diminishment by default. And so what you want to do is you want to bring your skills, your talents, and your credentials to the table. So it's not the time to go, oh, well, it was something I did 5 years ago, or, oh, I'm really not that great, or, oh, does that sound like it's bragging? No, you have to show up powerfully on LinkedIn. If you're there to do business and you really want to build $1 billion Rolodex or $1 million Rolodex, you decide, but you want to make sure that your profile stands out. And so for me, I'm at the point, and I don't have a lot of connections, okay? I have about 5,000, but a lot of my connections I've interacted with, I've talked to on the phone. They're people that I know. So I'm not just, again, you know, collecting names and numbers. I'm building relationships. So I didn't touch on this because I'm doing my best to speed through this process, but going back to the social selling aspect, it's so important that you deal with your sales issues, because a lot of women have sales issues, and it's really important that you deal with them all. Because if you have any issues around selling yourself, selling your products, your services, your ideas, your strategies, it's going to get in the way of you connecting with people, and also people understanding what you do, and that leading to an opportunity, essentially you closing the sales. So I always advise, you know, deal with the sales issues, because the internet has basically taught, you know, us, we don't have to sell. Just click. People are supposed to click and buy. And so don't worry about selling. And so many women do not sell. They're not selling. That's why when you look at the studies, you know, you look at the Forbes studies or the American Express, you know, business study on women entrepreneurship, and you see such low numbers, 25K, 50K, you know, average incomes. That's why, because women aren't selling enough. And there's only 5 sales trends right now. There's the click funnels, you know, which is the Russell Brunson, you know, multi-million-dollar, you know, build your funnel strategy, which is highly proven and works if you have the investment. I know people that have spent, you know, 50K plus to build perfect funnels, but if you can't spend 50K plus, what do you do? Number 2 is Facebook ads, social media posts. You can still sell on social, on camera, DM, which is what I do and I teach, and then of course the phone. But if you get people on the phone, you're going to have to sell, you know. And this social selling is really about taking people from social media and then offline and closing the transaction. That's social selling. Does anyone have any questions about LinkedIn social selling? No questions. Okay, perfect.
No, but still, they're enjoying it. I think it's yeah, it's really, really good content. I think maybe some aha moments as well, as to potentially the things that we're all doing, and we think we're on the right track, as in like post on social media, and the numbers and the likes and the engagement, you know, that we're actually kind of measuring that and how popular we are. And you're absolutely correct that that doesn't mean that means we, you know, are making the money. You know, that doesn't equate to potentially the income, although we may have lots of engagement. On the other hand, it doesn't matter if you don't have any engagement, as long as you are posting some good content, and then people may be actually getting in touch with you, or you get in touch with people and take them offline and speak to them, have a real conversation.
Exactly. So I want to use this example on my social media. So when you go to my social media, you'll notice I don't do a lot of posts. But when I do post, I post, you know, some interesting stories, viewpoints. And what happens is I will post and then people will engage, you know, and then I will continue the engagement. And then I always take the engagement on a post to the DM. So if you notice, and I invite you all to check it out, I will ask questions, same thing that I'm sharing with you, right? If it's someone that I already know, then I'll say, how are you doing? You know, there's something going on in that post, but I will engage with them to take them off my feed into the DM, and most of the time to a phone call. So going back to article marketing, if you are article marketing, that's fine, but make sure that you have a CTA within the article, right? To the end of the article. And then if you're doing this on LinkedIn, everyone that likes your post, everyone that comments on your post, you start a conversation within your post. So thank you for liking my article. If someone says, great article, thank you so much. Go back to their profile and find something that you like about them, and then say, oh my gosh, I was just on your profile. I noticed ABC, XYZ. And then there you go, you're engaging. You see, so going back to the numbers, that's why for me, if I do one post and I'm engaging with 15 people, I'm taking about 5 of them to a DM, and then maybe 2 or 3 are on the phone. Do you see how it's like, for me, like, I mean, why would I spend the day posting selfies when I can be in the DM doing business? So that's the message, you know, that I wish to share with millions of women around the world. Like, it's time to get serious about our social selling. And LinkedIn is just a great place because it brings up all of the issues. It brings up the communication issues. You're forced to deal with them. Your sales issues, communicating the value of your offers, you're forced to deal with it. Because on LinkedIn, you never know who you're going to communicate with. You never know, right? So you have to show up powerfully. And then networking. You have to be a really sophisticated networker on LinkedIn. Because, you know, if you're just on LinkedIn acting like Facebook, it's not going to work. It just won't work, and it doesn't work. So does anyone have any questions about LinkedIn social selling? That was the speed version.
Yeah, I love it. Ellen's already on her 4th page of notes, which is fabulous. Just to clear out some system terminology, DM is direct messaging. So you can direct.
Yes, direct messaging, and just think about, like, how many clients you need right now. Okay, whatever, like, just pull up that number. Like, how many clients do you need? How many clients do you want? You can close those clients right now in the DM. I guarantee you that.
And I can witness that, because it's much easier on LinkedIn to start a conversation, and people, and I was actually surprised when I started. I mean, I've had a LinkedIn profile for ages, but then I haven't done anything for ages, and then I went back into it, and I just sent a couple of messages, and people would actually message me and say, here's my phone number, let's chat. And I'm like, whoa, people don't do that on Facebook. So
no. No, they don't. And they're rude. They're so rude. I can't believe how rude people are. But I forgot to share this with you. Here's how you master direct messaging. Let me give you this tip. So the way that you master direct messaging is you want to give yourself a template, and it's a 4-step process. Really easy, really easy. First message is something simple like, how are you? What's your business? Can you tell me more about your business? Can you tell me more about your company? Question. Now, they answer the question. Then you ask another question. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I used to work at, that company, or I know someone that worked at that company. Now you're engaging, right? They come back, another question. You're in dialogue. See, now you have real engagement. So when I posted in the group today, I said engagement, engagement, engagement. So you're engaging. Now, because it's a real connection at that point, you've showed interest, now they're interested in you. What will happen is people will go to your profile. They will check you out. Then they will ask you, well, tell me more about you. Now you're able to tell them about you, okay? And if you're in the conversation in an authentic way, one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to reveal themselves, right? They're going to reveal that they're the perfect customer or the perfect joint venture partner or the perfect client. And then you take it from there to what's your availability like? I'd love to, hop on a connection call, not a sales call, but a connection call. You see? And so that's how you build your $1 billion Rolodex. Because you do that enough, you'll get a reputation. And then people will start to refer people to you. And then what will happen is you will become known, right, as a referral source because people know that you know people. And it just works. It just works. It's really simple. Like I said, it's what the gurus forgot to teach us. And I stand by that because there's just too much nonsense online. There's just too much complication. Like it needs to stop. So let me just sum up the LinkedIn because I know that that's sort of the foundation before I move on to the next point. So with the LinkedIn, okay, social selling is a 4-step process. Investigate, connect, engage, invite. It's important that you are so in tune with your sales strategy. So going back to the sales trends, what is your number one sales strategy? For me, it's selling on camera and it's selling on the phone. That's how I sell right now. That's it for me. Do I sell in the DM? I'm in the DM, but I tend to take people from the DM to a live Zoom or to the phone. So depending on the way you structure your business, if you are in the DM and you have, let's say you have, a program and you want to send out a link, you may sell in the DM that way. But again, you have to walk people through a process where you are connected with them and they're interested and they have identified that they are your clients before you do that, because then it turns into spam and it doesn't make a good connection. So moving on. I'm sorry.
Add one thing. There's been lots of amazing comments here and questions which I'm trying to answer on your behalf. I'm just taking a guess, but from my experience, when you take away that pressure of yourself and thinking you are actually going to go on a sales call, and when you call it just a connection call literally, then it is just that, it is just a chat and just taking that conversation offline and really just when you take that call, or mostly they're going to give you their phone number and you call them up, and then it's just a hi and how are you, and it's great to connect over LinkedIn. And then even if it's some sort of really senior director, I've always had just like conversations, and great conversation that connects us right now is the pandemic. How is things, do you homeschool as well? You have kids and all that kind of stuff, and just really builds a really nice bridge without actually going into selling. But then automatically I share, yeah, this is my passion, it's what we've been working on, and what do you struggle with, and what are your challenges and what you do. And they're always interested to hear more, and it's about stories. It's about telling each other those stories and be real, and not having particular script in front of you. That's what I just wanted to say. It's, and you take the pressure and then away from like, oh, I must close this, or I need to bring it to that stage. Maybe they're not even right for you. Maybe they're not even parents if you're looking to sell some parenting services. But maybe you say, well, who do you know? Because obviously I do this, now you know me, right? Who do you know? They might refer people to you. And it happened to me. Actually happened to me. There's one person that referred 3 people to me, and 2 people became a client.
Well, and this is the value of the portal too, right? So I've been on these DM conversations, and I've got to the point where they're interested and they have some specific challenges. And so what I do is to move them to the next state is do some recommendations, and recommendations may not be my products or services. They may be somebody else. Ideally somebody in the portal who has that skill set that I don't have, that this person needs. Becoming a trusted advisor makes you more reputable and reliable, and so they come back to you again for more advice later. The second thing that I do is I invite them to check out some additional products and services. So it's not just about the beginning and making the connection. It's about what do you do as you tail off to the end of that conversation to shift to the next step. And I think that, Ungenita, you've been providing a lot of that content in there. Just wanted to point that part out because we have the Empowerment Portal. We have a group of experts that we may not have expertise in, but we can still market their expertise to the people that we connect with on our calls.
Absolutely. Yep. And it goes back to the communication skills, right? Listen, ask questions, provide a tip or resource that will anchor you to anyone, because you're giving, you're serving, unlike what we see on social media where people are like, buy my lipstick. I can't tell you how many people send me links to buy makeup. It's like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's just funny. So I would love to answer any more questions before I move on, because this next part is one of my favorites. Does anyone have it?
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Sharon, for hopping in, and thanks, Ungenita, for reminding us that actually it's about giving them something maybe for free to start with. That may be a good resource. And I'm just thinking about the upcoming summit that we are launching in July. Obviously, we could say, look, we are doing a range of different free talks on such and such subjects. And because the Empowerment Portal actually covers all of the ranges, as we know, there will be something for everyone. And that's the beauty about it. And Hanukkah says, I love Ungenita. Thank you for bringing her into my life.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. So what I wanted to talk about next, and especially because you mentioned the pandemic, and I think it's important to be a resource, but also, educate, position yourself as an expert and an educator, and provide tips, not necessarily advice, but provide tips for people, because people are going through difficult times. And if you position yourself as someone that actually can educate other people, they will remember you, because they will see you, going back to what she said. I'm sorry. I forgot her name already. I'm sorry. I forgot your name.
Sharon?
Yes, trusted advisor. So when you educate people, you become the trusted advisor. And it doesn't have to be like rocket science, but you know, something really simple that they weren't aware of. All of a sudden, they're looking at you differently. And that's part of the communication skill track is, you know, again, human contact, you know, the human experience. And that's at the root of everything. And so every time you're connecting with people, just remember, we're all human. So going on to day 4, which is the money making conversation. So I have a lead assessment here, and the reason I put the lead assessment here is for you to do, because again, going back to what we're sold on social media, fans, followers, and likes, and most people, they completely forget about the leads they already have. So I'd love for all of you to do the leads assessment on your own time. And you're going to discover you have leads right now. You have potential leads. You have people that you can actually literally connect with via the DM right now, or via text, email, phone call, what have you, to bring in some sales. Very, 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 very true. You just have to do the assessment. So one of the things that I love walking women through is what I call money-making conversations. So every conversation is a money-making conversation. Now, I know that sounds so like a marketing tactic. It doesn't sound very, you know, very enlightening, but more strategy. But here's the deal. Every conversation is a money-making conversation if you know how to communicate. So it's actually under day 4. So money-making conversations, meaning every time you communicate with someone, if you communicate powerfully, you can turn that into a money-making conversation. So that's the idea. It's not a sales conversation. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you the speed version. So the first one is what I call the connection call. That's just the call that you're just, you know, you just want to connect. Now, these calls are not consecutive, like they're not in any order. The way that I created this is because I created this to show women that you can have different types of conversations and to not feel so pressured about selling, right? And to take that pressure away, you know, so that, you know, oh, well, I need to sell, or I need to close, or, oh my gosh, you know, like, what do I say? So here it goes. Number 1 is a connection call. That's just to connect. That's it. We're just hopping on the call to connect. Discovery call. This is where literally you're not sure. You connect with them. You want to know more. You just hop on the call. And your whole goal is just to discover more about them. I really want to get to know you. You know, I'd love to learn more about you. Social call. So often we forget to socialize with our friends. We forget to check on our friends, see how they're doing. You know, one of my girlfriends from junior high school, this is so funny. She calls me up and we're talking about junior high school. We always talk about junior high school. She wants to know what I'm doing. I want to know what she's doing. Now all of a sudden she's changing careers. She wants to work with me. We're now in a conversation about doing business. But it started off a social call. We went to junior high school together. Don't underestimate the people that you already know, your friends, you know, your people you went to school with. Like, we forget, like, there's so much opportunity there. The next one is a collaboration call. And this is something I do often. I say, you know what, I think you'd be a great JV partner. Like this whole, you know, meeting today was essentially started because Sabine and I hopped on a collaboration call. That's it. You know, I think we can work together. Let's do a joint venture. Simple. The next call is a 2-way support call. This is where you refer other people. You connect other people. So you might have a call with someone and you're on the call and you're connecting with them, you're connecting them with someone else in your network and vice versa. That's it. It's just two-way support. You're supporting them, they're supporting you. Another one is I call this the power connector. That's where you are making those introductions. Literally, you just say, you know what? I know so-and-so would be a great connection for you. You know, let me tell you about this person. Number 7 is a sales call. Yes, you know, that's still on the list. Absolutely. And this is where you're actually having the conversation about the sale. Then number 8 is sell yourself. Sometimes we're not doing live networking anymore. We're doing virtual networking, but sell yourself is essentially when you're just letting people know who you are. And a lot of women forget this. This is where communicating your value comes in. You're just letting them know, you know, this is what I do. This is the real world problem that I solve. This is the solution that I have. It's packaged in this way. And, you know, I'm here to help. And then we have ask for the money. That's where you have to ask for the money. Simple. Then that's the one that most women don't want to do. They don't want to ask for the money, but you have to have the conversation around asking for the money. And then finally is the follow-up. Going back to the leads assessment, most of those leads that people discover, the reason why they discover those leads is because they forgot to follow up with them. So they're warm leads that they completely pushed aside because they feel that they need more leads and they start all over when they're not tapping into the leads that they already have. So that's the follow-up conversation. How many people do you need to follow up with? You know, every single week, there are people that I need to follow up with. So does anyone have any questions about that? That was the speed version. Remember, they're not connected. There's no order. It's just to get you in that mindset of communicating and communicating powerfully so you can extract an opportunity. That's the goal. Every communication is an opportunity. Okay.
Just have a comment, obviously for the ladies who are working with the portal and also affiliates to the portal, that we actually have just a very simple Excel spreadsheet for follow-ups. LinkedIn has a pro version which you pay for, and obviously LinkedIn also has just a free version which potentially most of you have. Now I have the pro version, so I don't know anymore what's included in the free version and what's the pro, but I have obviously the opportunity to do some more detailed searches, and I can also save and tag particular people. So it's a bit more of a CRM tool, like customer management tool. But obviously if you're just getting started on LinkedIn, the thing is like, it's always the follow-ups. Whatever direct messaging, Facebook, LinkedIn, you kind of forget who you've spoken to. And the question is, well, how do you best deal with it? We've already created some sort of spreadsheet which you ladies can use. Ungenita, do you have any other suggestion about how to follow up without getting more gray hair?
Yeah.
You know, it would be overwhelming, right?
Yes. So what I do is I create a follow-up system on my phone via my calendar. So for example, if I'm speaking to someone and we have a conversation, then I'm going to note when I need to follow up with them in my phone. I also use my email folders. So there's certain people that I follow up with on a regular basis. And then there are people that are like, let's say, you know, they're high net worth. They're very famous, or, you know, people that, you know, I don't really need to tap into on a regular basis, but they're there. I may reach out to them once a year. So I have a very simple tracking system. I still do things like I still use, like, here, if you can see it, I still use, because I like to write. So I still have appointments on a paper, but I transfer them to my phone notes and then my calendar. And then I have folders, email folders set up. And that's how I'm able to track. But for me, I'm utilizing the strategy where it's about quality versus quantity. So I'm constantly moving people in and out of my Rolodex. So, you know, sometimes, you know, people move on or you're no longer connected. And so, you know, you just, you know, lovingly release them from your Rolodex. But there are other people that I'm constantly keeping in contact with. So some people I keep in contact with on a monthly basis, some people on a quarterly, twice a year, and then a year. But it's important to have a tracking system. As far as LinkedIn goes, what I do on LinkedIn is once I connect with someone, if I want to maintain that connection, I move them into archive. So I have everything archived and I save my messages. And then what I do is I go through phases where I will follow up with the archives, you know, like clockwork, you know, okay, it's time for me to follow up with this section of people in the archive. But I like to keep it really simple. I don't like to complicate it. I have clients that do really sophisticated things with spreadsheets and tracking systems, you know, because they're in the financial services. But I tend to keep mine really simple. And again, because I'm focused on quality versus quantity, so I'm only dealing with about 500 people at a time. So that's enough for me to manage because I'm not communicating with them every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that really makes sense. And that's the thing, is we don't want to overwhelm. We'd rather, you know, have some really good quality connections. Yeah, and I am probably sort of an Excel kind of person.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's fine.
That's the thing, isn't it? If you really don't know where to get started, so I just want to share the portal. You actually, in your folders, you actually have a sort of a sales tracker, if I may share that. I don't know if you can see that, but I actually called it LinkedIn Sales Tracker. And again, you can just use it as a Google Sheet. And I think there's a couple of columns which show up. I don't know why it's not showing up, but basically, yeah, what, you know, what's the name, what's their LinkedIn profile, when did I, you know, first contact them. Maybe you want to have a due date, you know, like follow up again kind of thing. I can share that. Actually, it's not showing up properly. So if you need a tool, then obviously this could be and you know, you can always filter as well, then to say, okay, who do I need to contact today? You know,
exactly.
Once a week, maybe you just want to look at this once a week, and just once a week go on LinkedIn and connect with people and answer things, or maybe twice a week, because once you start, you know, connecting with more people, and then you might have responses, you want to maybe be present and respond rather sooner than later. But I think, yeah, Excel for me is quite a good tool, and especially when I can filter and just focus on those couple of people that I need to follow up with.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to quality versus quantity. Question about LinkedIn.
LinkedIn Helper. I've not used that myself, so I'm not very familiar with LinkedIn Helper. Alice, can you?
Yeah, LinkedIn Helper essentially will allow you to retrieve the email for each of your first, second, or third order contacts.
And yes. Now here's the deal, and this is I don't like that because I've been spammed. Because I get a lot of people contacting me. I prefer, again, to keep it human, you know, to maintain that human connection. And I tend to stay away from too much automation. So for me, it's about maintaining that human contact. So if they want me to have their email address, you know, they've authorized me to have their email address. So I know many of you have to get going. We are at the top of the hour because we said we were going to go for 90 minutes. So this is what I wanted to let you all know, that if you want to break down this training, I do teach LinkedIn. I teach a 1-day, get your profile done in 1 day LinkedIn training. It's a 6-hour training. You work with me in a small group. It's about maybe 8 to 15 ladies. And I help you with your profile. I help you with your about section. I help you with your SEO, your advanced search. I show you how to use LinkedIn. And then of course, I show you how to master the DM. So if you're interested in that, it's 99 pounds for the 1-day LinkedIn workshop. So if you have any questions about that, you can contact me via the DM, or I guess we'll post a link later on. But I do have that training available if you really want to dive into LinkedIn and you want to learn LinkedIn from the inside out and really position yourself on LinkedIn for leads, opportunities, and of course, sales. So, Sabine?
Yeah, where are the next dates for what I saw? So you're doing a whole day implementation day, I think.
Yes.
And you
So
do programs as well. Can you explain a little bit more about different
yes.
versions?
So the LinkedIn is available on Monday, the June 22nd, and Wednesday, June 24th. So I do 2 days because I'm dealing with 2 different time zones. So I do one for, you know, American time zone, and then I also do one in the European time zone. And so you can take 1 day for 6 hours, or if you need to, you can break them up and 2 days, 3 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Wednesday. But essentially, I take you through the inside out of LinkedIn, and I help you really set up your profile powerfully and create an amazing about section, and target, you know, your profile, and show you how to set up your profile so it's targeted and people will reach out to you. And then using that advanced search, because when you learn how to use the advanced search and you start to position yourself, you're going to get leads, and then that's why you want to master the DM. So I walk you through how to master the DM, every scenario you can possibly imagine. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a billionaire or someone starting out. And I say that often because when I teach communication, that's the level that I'm teaching you communication. Is it doesn't matter, you know, you will be prepared when that opportunity lands in your inbox. So that is available. If you have any questions, you know, we'll share the link, and you can also contact me. But I wanted to share that with all of you. So Sabine, do you want me to finish up so we can close out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for those who can stay another 10 minutes, we can continue, or if you have some more questions. I mean, I think it's a brilliant opportunity that Ungenita is offering this for such a low investment. And, you know, I wish when I started LinkedIn, someone had taken me through this and I could focus, you know, a couple of hours and just have it all done, because it can be really painful to actually set up your profile and do all that stuff without actually knowing, you know, and getting the feedback. I mean, we can all upload an image and all that, but then getting the feedback as well, I think is super useful. So, you know, if you have the opportunity and the dates match, or maybe there's other dates that you can take advantage of, I think it will really benefit not only your business and, you know, of course the portal as well, but it goes hand in glove with everything that we do here. Maxine says, I love to do the training. I look forward to the link. Thank you for this. It's been very down-to-earth training, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Gloria,
Awesome.
do the training as well. Yeah, I think that's why I brought Ungenita in, because I do understand that we, you know, a lot of the people will actually come from LinkedIn, and when we are talking about the portal, we are actually talking to quite sort of VIP sort of people, you know, and it's like, how do you approach them? How do you, you know, position yourself? And even for your own businesses, you really can see who they are. And well, let's be frank about this. We want people who can pay for our services, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's better to have someone who has a job and, you know, and is maybe stressed out, and, you know, Gloria, you know, you can help them with your hypnotherapy, and you want them to pay, right?
Yes, exactly.
So,
Oh, so I wanted to answer a couple of questions. So the online extravaganza, the July the 20 to the 25th, that's actually in my Facebook group. That's a free training in my Facebook group. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, so basically it's in my group. It's live videos, and I take you through essentially everything that I'm doing today, but it's spread across 5 days. But if you'd like me to work with you in a very small private setting and help you create your profile in one day, and literally teach you the ins and outs of LinkedIn, that is available on Monday, this coming Monday or Wednesday, and it's 99 pounds. So it's economical, it's fun, you'll get to meet some amazing women, and it's amazing. Like it's truly like my mission now is to like train, like if I could train millions of women on this, I would love to do this, because so many things happen when we start the LinkedIn profile. Like so many, it brings up everything. I love it. So yeah, so that's all I can say.
brilliant. They're loving your energy. It's buzzing here. So we obviously they want to know what's your Facebook group and all that. So we'll actually collect all this information, and I will send it out to you, and I'll also post it in the Facebook group. For those ladies that have joined and that are, you know, not in the portal, I know Hanika, you I'm probably just gonna personal message you, and if anyone on this is actually kind of watching this as a replay, then message me and I'll get you the link. So or maybe if it's on YouTube, then the links will be below the video. Okay, let's do it that way. Okay,
Awesome. And again, oh, does someone have a question?
I want to just say thank you. Really wonderful thing.
Thank you so much. And if you have any questions about the gold pages, again, you can contact me, Ungenita Prevost. You can contact me. You can DM me if you have any questions, and then we'll post the info for the LinkedIn extravaganza. Everything that I do is an extravaganza, by the way.
Yeah, it's all gold and shiny. And just say, I mean, give him a bit of a background as to, I mean, you had very glamorous roles in the past.
Yes, because I started off when I was aged out of the foster care system, I went to beauty college. I received a grant from the state of California, so I went to beauty college. And then from there, I went on to work in Hollywood, and I was a body double, a dancer, and then from there, I went on to do network marketing, which then led me to the business that I have now. So I've worked in multiple industries, which is why I have this Rolodex. And, you know, coming from the place of, you know, nothing and turning into something, I understand the value of human connection. So you're only as rich as the relationships you build. So that's why I'm rich, because I have relationships, just like that.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording.
Thank you.